Okay, this video is called What Causes Male Infertility. First of all, being fat, obesity. There's more aromatase enzyme in the fat, and that converts estrogen into testosterone into estrogen. Estrogenic chemicals in clothing. Polyester is polyethylene terephthalate, PET, and that has phthalates in it, an estrogenic chemical. That's actually been shown to decrease sperm. I'll show you the paper on that in just a sec. Flame retardants have estrogenic effects. Laundry detergent typically is like a triple estrogen. The container is often BPA, bisphenol A, is often conditioned with a softener called a phthalate as well. And the laundry detergent itself is typically something like nonylphenol, also estrogenic. There's three estrogens right there, and the dryer squares tend to be estrogenic if you have them in the dryer to prevent wrinkles. So right there, a lot of estrogens on your clothing. If you use, I don't even use any laundry detergent. I just do it with water. Of course, I don't use dryer squares. A lot of estrogens in the food. You know, look at things that are subsidized like soy for GMO soy, and that is highly estrogenic, far more estrogenic than other foods. The only food more estrogenic than that in common use is flax. Now, the estrogens in flax are a little bit of a different type of phytoestrogen, and I'm not as familiar with the research on flax. I doubt it's any good. Atrazine is a very powerful estrogen and chemical, and that's the one that turns the male frogs into female frog. And I actually think that one of the purposes why soy and atrazine are subsidized is to make people infertile. You know, look, there's big efforts made to sterilize the population, and I think it's especially done. Less wealthy people are going to sterilize poor people. Okay, let's be realistic about it. They're less likely to eat organic. So that's a way to sterilize them. All right. And, F minus in the water is a way to lower their IQs. Okay. I have that in here somewhere. So, anyways, F minus also is associated with lowered sperm counts in the water. Okay, dishwasher detergent. If you don't fry food, you don't cook with oils, you don't need dishwasher detergent. That also tends to be estrogenic. If you don't eat the GMO food, you'll avoid this atrazine here. You'll avoid the soy and the GP sprayed on it. MSG also has a negative effect on male reproductive function. I'll show you the paper for that in just a moment. That's monosodium glutamate, the flavorant. There's a lot of variations of that. Okay, here it is. Estrogens in tap water, fluoride in tap water. Okay, I knew I had it in here. It's too expensive for municipal water filtration to remove estrogen, so you really need to have a carbon water filter in your house to remove the estrogenic chemicals. They're organic chemicals, carbon-containing chemicals, and you can remove that stuff with an estrogen carbon filter, just a carbon filter. And you'll have estrogenic chemicals in it, just like women's birth control pills, EE2, ethinyl estradiol. One woman takes a birth control pill, pees it out in her urine, goes into the waterway, comes back in somebody else's water. There's also PCBs, BPA, phthalates, and other estrogenic chemicals. Putting a cell phone in one's front pants pocket. It's a low-power microwave transmitter typically, and that'll microwave your balls at a low rate, but all day long, pretty stupid. I'll see young guys in the weight room lifting weights, acting all macho, and they got a cell phone in their front pocket. Pretty stupid. Laptop computer right directly on their lap. Low-power microwave transmitter, Wi-Fi, microwaving their balls. At least, put it up on a raised table, a pillow or something, or better yet, have some type of blocker. Sad diet, atherogenic, high fat, high sodium. You'll develop atherosclerosis over time in the arteries that supply to Johnson and the cojones. And it's very common for men to be estrogenic. It's like 30% of men in sad diet eating populations are estrogenic in their 30s, 40% in their 50s, 50% in their 50s, 60% or more in their 60s. Okay, so you don't want that. Dairy is high in estrogens because the cows are pregnant while they make the milk. And it's thought also that estrogen is, not good for male reproductive function. The galactose sugar from splitting lactose into glucose and galactose. Also, even though we have the lactase enzyme, we might not have the ability to handle galactose, and that can be toxic to round things with some form of a blood-brain barrier or its equivalent. Things like the eyes and cataracts, things like the ovaries, ovarian cancer, for example, and problems with female fertility, but also potentially with male fertility. I'm not as sure about that one, but that's what I've heard. Okay, aluminum cookware. You don't want to cook on that. Aluminum foil, you don't want to put your food on that. Aluminum is real common in deodorants as well, plugs up the sweat pores. Plus the deodorants will have parabenzoic acids typically as preservatives. Those are also estrogenic. BPA, bisphenol A, lining on canned foods, canned drinks, energy drinks, soda pop and whatnot. Some of the old thicker plastic water bottles were BPA. Nowadays, a lot of times they'll say BPA free, but they'll be using a BPA equivalent, something like BPS, for example. Thermal receipts, there's the ones that have that plasticky feel to them when you get a receipt at the store. Okay, lack of dietary fiber causes more reabsorption of excreted estrogen. The liver excretes high amounts of estrogen to get it out of our body, and we defecate it out of our system. In the process of excreting it, the liver conjugates it with, typically, let's say, a glucuronic acid. And that glucuronic acid facilitates it being excreted by defecation. You get two types of gut bacteria. The good gut bacteria are associated with high fiber diets. Diet with a lack of fiber, like meat and processed food, you get a different type of gut bacteria. They have more of an enzyme called glucuronidase, which unconjugates the estrogen such that it's then reabsorbed into the body because it's free estrogen. Okay. In addition, you have increased risk of abdominal pressure syndrome due to constipation because dietary fiber pulls water to the stool, softens it up so you poop a cow patty instead of a Tootsie Roll. When you don't have the dietary fiber, your stool's dried out more, and what that leads to is straining at the stool during defecation, and it's called the Valsalva maneuver. And that frequent daily back pressure is transmitted into the scrotum veins, and they can dilate. That's called a varicocele, and that increases the heat of the testicles, and it can cause infertility. It contributes to infertility. Okay, estrogenics and personal care products. Lots of guys are kind of big on this. To me, it's a sign of a lack of education when some guy is like stinking up the place with cologne. You know, you don't need deodorant. You just say, hey, how you doing when you walk in the room. Nobody smells your armpits. All these shampoos, conditioners, soaps, moisturizers, and screens all have at least one estrogen typically, quite often 2 or 3. I would recommend avoiding all that stuff as much as possible. For example, I don't shampoo my hair. Not that I have much hair, but I don't shampoo the little I have. I just have one little thin, transparent bar soap. You don't need moisturizers. You don't need sunscreens. I gave lectures on all that stuff. Promiscuity can damage the testicles from infections. This is much more of a problem in women who can have chronic asymptomatic infections. Also, if you're promiscuous, you increase the likelihood you're going to have herpes or genital warts. And it might be hard to get somebody to sleep with you. Tight underwear, like panties, in the sense that, male boxers type of underwear, they let the testicles hang loose, and that lowers their temperature, which is actually better for sperm production. Tight male underwear that have been jokingly called being like panties, they pull the testicles up tight to the body, increase the heat of the testicles. Miscellaneous exposures to estrogenic chemicals like in new carpets. New carpets are totally overrated. I think wood floors are preferable, for example. Vinyl shower curtains, they can really stink, and some of that can be estrogenic chemicals. Incense is stupid. You don't want that in your house. Scented candles are stupid. They can increase asthma. Pulmonary lung disease. Air fresheners are stupid. You don't need those. Moldy grains can have zeah production by the fungi. Dental floss can contain Teflon. So get the simple unwaxed one if you use dental floss. Okay, almost done here. Just a couple quick slides. Okay, this is just one article showing if men wore polyester-like underwear sling, they had a big drop in their sperm production. Their testicles actually shrank a bit. Part of that might have been due to the heat. I don't know how tight they were, but they had some type of electrostatic effect from the friction with the polyester material. Remember, polyester is like a plastic. It's a polymer. It's polyethylene terephthalate. Okay, and it's like a soft plastic. You don't sweat well with it. It doesn't breathe well, so to speak. It's like having a plastic bag on your cojones, and it caused infertility. They actually use it for contraception. It's a cheap form of contraception. The men in the study, none of their females got pregnant while they were wearing that thing. They followed them for 12 months. It's a long time. Here's in an animal study. I think these were with dogs. And let's see. They studied different types of textile garments, and the ones wearing pure polyester had bigger problems with infertility. Okay, here's a paper showing MSG-induced male reproductive dysfunction. Okay, so I mean, you want to avoid processed food as best you can. I won't eat anything with more than one ingredient because there's a potential that they're going to put MSG in there. They'll put MSG in organic foods as well, so it's a good thing to avoid if you can. So, anyways, that's it.